I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night to whoever watching this transmission. Welcome to Tomorrow's News Today, the voice of the Commonwealth. It is I, Mike Martins, and I am getting totally bombarded with people messaging me about troubles logging into their bank, or I had troubles logging into my bank the last couple of days, and I've been having troubles viewing my credit card statement. There's not much on there, but I'm having troubles viewing it to make sure there's room on there just for a little supplier to put something through. So it's kind of weird. So I never got myself into debt, thank God. And it's kind of a pay-as-you-go situation for me. But for others, it's going to be hard. It's going to come down real hard. So let's take a look at what's going on, guys. Thanks for joining us. So right now, just in Silicon Valley Bank is causing disruptions all over the world. And we talked about this on the channel. This is not a post-diction channel where we're post-dicting this stuff. We're going to go back and start looking at and connecting the dots how we got to where we are today. So Silicon Valley Bank collapse is not a repeat of 08-09 financial crisis, says on BNN Bloomberg. They're reporting this. So here it is. Bank stocks have come under pressure to follow the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, SVB. Let's go into article scan here for you guys to see that. But one financial expert is advising that now is an opportune time to put money into the sector. So now they're flipping it right now as we speak to tell people that this is a good time to get into invest in the banking sector as the banking stocks are dropping. So what do we say here? Let's take a look. By the way, this is exactly on February 15, 2022. What is significant about February 15, 2022? It's 2 days before they froze the truckers' bank accounts, or the bank accounts for the truckers that were protesting in Canada. This is 2 days before. So I want to throw this out here for you guys. And then 2 days after, they froze the bank accounts, and then all these channels came on with these massive videos, but we were warning about it before. Here goes. Well, it's here, guys. It's arrived. People are starting or have lost total confidence in their governments. This will cause a runoff on the monetary system, and that is major for a country, and this is something that countries do not look forward to, because the day of reckoning always shows up with pitchforks and torches. So there it is right there. Now, this is very important because we're going to start to see no confidence in banks. And before we go any further, my opinion on this is to keep enough money in your bank just to keep your bills paid and your, enough for your rent or mortgage or whatever you're paying, to have that in there at least, just to have that. And you don't have your entire life savings. You could invest in gold, silver, and food and other commodities. I had a food guy contact me the other day. He's like, Mike, I bought a ton of food back in 2020 when you were scaring the crap out of me, and I stocked it up nicely and organized it and even put it on a spreadsheet and really organized it to know what I have and how much I have. Now, I want to thank you because now you saved me thousands of dollars now because the price of food doubled and tripled since you made them videos. So there you go. It all adds up in the end. Food is money in the bank. All right, let's move on. So let's head over to Australia. Biggest bank crash since the GFC could hit Australia. So we're going to start off in Australia and make our way through the Commonwealth down to the United States. So biggest bank crash since the GFC could hit Australia. Now watch how they word this. Analysts scramble to see how much damage the biggest bank crash since the global financial crisis will have done on Australian economy. The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. So now they're going to blame Silicon Valley Bank for Australian banks crashing, right? We're going to get into that right now. So the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank has sent a shockwave through the global markets and have spurred fears over international bank run. Again, bank runs. People, no confidence in governments. When you have no confidence in your governments, you obviously don't have confidence in your banking system, and you start to remove your money, right? And 6PR Financial GRU, Scott Howard, whatever. So they are already wording it as they will be blaming the Silicon Valley Bank crash on Australian banks, and how the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank in the United States could affect 3 million Australian households as the country's youngest billionaire gets caught up in bank crisis. So there it is right there. Australians, 3 million households with a mortgage may have spared another interest rate next month because of the American Silicon Valley Bank. So they're blaming the next interest rate hike on the Silicon Valley Bank, even though interest rates were so historically low in Australia. We've been so vocal about this. But here it is. Commonwealth Bank, the head of Australian economy, said that the Reserve Bank may be worried about international financial market volatility following the biggest U.S. corporate collapse since the global financial crisis in 2008. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK sat back in 2008 when America was crumbling, and there was a little bit of a blip in other countries, but America took about 50% of the collapse, and the other was all bail-ins and all kinds of crap through the Obama administration using taxpayers' money to bail out their corporations or then their banking sectors. So there it is right there. So we even reported this. Let's go to article. There it is right there. Can Westpac or Australian banks have a bank runoff? No confidence in governments. 3 years ago, before they pulled the trigger on the pandemic. Canadians who can't pay, look at this, Canadians who can't pay their debts has economists worried. 102,000 consumer bankruptcies 3 years ago before the pandemic. So let's keep going here. So we talked about Australian banks. Australian bank caught red-handed. Westpac faces fines of over 23 million money laundering breaches. So that's what a lot of banks have been playing with, is dirty money. And there you go. There's the video there so we could show you. And it was, again, before they pulled the trigger on the pandemic in November 19, 2019. So let's move in. So let's move into New Zealand. Banking expert says Kiwis deposits will not be protected if New Zealand Bank was to collapse. So if you're living in New Zealand and you have money in your bank, watch out, folks. Watch out. You want to put that money under your mattress, the safest place to put it. The banking expert says Kiwi deposits could not currently be protected if New Zealand Bank was to collapse after a $300 billion American bank close. So they're blaming New Zealand banks that should be sovereign and independent. Yes, banks are intertwined with each other and intertrade and all that. Should have protection and should have regulations. What did they do? They took off all the regulations to allow the money laundering. Woo! So there it is right there. And U.S. bank shutdown expected to affect New Zealand's share market. So again, New Zealand, a world away, is being affected by this. And there it is right there. And an investment analysis in New Zealand share market to take a hit when it opens Monday. U.S. bank was shut down by regulators. So it's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse because all these banks, with their money laundering and all the crap they've been doing in criminal activities and these artificially low Frankenstein loans they've been throwing out there. Yeah. So there it is. What we've been saying. Look at this 4 years ago. Look at this, folks. New Zealand using tents to house homeless. Jacinta Ardern, wake up, stop selling out your country. Because, of course, lots of Chinese money was flowing into New Zealand that they put the foreign buyers tax on. Or no foreign buyers allowed, sorry. So we even made a video for you guys. Which bank would go first, again, before they pulled the trigger on the pandemic? ICBC, CBB, China, ANZ, Australia, New Zealand Bank, Dutch Bank, German banks. We are looking at France Bank. We were setting up a poll on the channel back before because they're going to obviously blame the pandemic on everything. So this is basically what is going down. We asked you guys what is happening and how it's happening and what banks will be affected first. But this is before everything. So they were already in a hell of hurt. All right, let's move on. So let's go over to London. Remember this? Before everything. World economy would collapse if the City of London stopped laundering money, says HSBC whistleblower. Britain is due to leave the European Union later this month, but there is no sign of banks quitting the City of London. Quitting the City of London, one of the main claims made by Remainers in the run-up of Brexit referendum. But the wheels of the City of London only kept turning by laundering money. And it goes into in-depth perspective and graphs and everything and it just goes into more and more and more and videos and all kinds of stuff for you guys to see that the wheels are turning in the City of London because of money laundering. And we warned you guys about this. BS, London millionaire ghost homes, Bank of England set to crumble. More money laundering now, 4 years ago. Look, millionaire of owners of London ghost homes could be ordered to fill them with families to ease housing crisis. So they were selling off to wealthy CPP and just leaving them Chinese Communist Party officials and just leaving these homes empty with no furniture in them, just like completely empty. And people from England were starving. And that's how it works when the bank regulates and government regulates and builds an economy off of housing. Let's keep going. Bank of London bids to acquire Silicon Valley Bank's UK arm. So there it is. A failing bank to buy. It's the blind leading the blind. Bank of London bids to acquire Silicon Valley Bank's UK arm. Global clearing institution Bank of London has the same bank that's been laundering money has submitted a formal proposal to acquire the Silicon Valley Bank's subsidiary in the United Kingdom, according to the statement disclosed by Reuters on March 12th. So there it is right there. Let's move forward here. Let's move over to Canada. Canadian banks erased $19.7 billion in value on SVB contagion. So they're going to keep building they're going to keep blaming the Silicon Valley Bank for this, and that's how it's going there. The fallout from the Silicon Valley Bank's collapse has led to the continent-wide sell-off of financial stocks, erasing $19.7 billion in value from Canada's top banks in the last 4 days. So there it is right there. Banks are getting affected, but they're going to blame this one bank. They're not going to blame the deregulation of the banking system that they caused and all the BS that they started, right? Right. Okay, let's keep going. Canada's bank brace for possible wave of loan defaults. Woo! So why that matters. So Canada is, I'm not even going to get into that because Canadian news is all fixed. So our feds have bred a dwelling. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. There it is, folks. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. So it all goes back to that in the end, and corrupt banks and artificially low interest rates. Canada, other governments hustled to stop Silicon Valley bank crisis from spreading. What are they going to do? Reverse all the bank bad debt they wrote across Canada? Or what? Are they going to call in the bad debt? Hello, this is the Bank of Canada calling you, or what, CIBC or RBC. We want you to pay back the debt that we gave you. You shouldn't have gotten that debt, but we gave you that debt in the first place so we could get our numbers up so our banking cartel could keep going. We need that money back now. So what are they going to do? Call in all their bad debt? Is that what they're going to do? So shares in several U.S. banks sell off hard as government takes over another bank. So there it is right there. And there it is. Canadians can't pay their debts. It was before the you-know-what. November 2019. Look at this. Before the you-know-what. Before they pull the trigger on the pandemic. Surge in numbers of Canadians who can't pay their debts has economists worried and scratching their heads. So there it is there. So everyone blames the pandemic, but it was already happening before the pandemic. Way before the pandemic. And what do we say here? Most Canadian deposits not at risk if bank fails, but check the CDIC protection, says Roseman. So now, this is what happened in Cyprus. If you guys remember, there was a massive runoff on their wealth where they were putting withdrawal levels on a daily basis because everyone was withdrawing their wealth from the banks and people were worried because they want to eat, right? So let's see what it says here. Some Canadians rushed to their banks to check their deposit protection after hearing about the federal budget released last month. So there's the bail-in regime right there, the framework in Canada that we talked about, bail-ins in Canadian banking system. And when was this? 4 years ago. Oof. This was November 27, 2018. So let's keep going here, folks. We're on a roll. S&P TSX composite down almost 100 points. U.S. markets rise despite bank failures. So there it is right there. Let's go over to America and find out what the heck is going on. Wells Fargo says technical issue causing customers to report missing deposits. So the bank sought to reassure frustrated customers that their accounts remained secure and said it was working to resolve the issue. So there it is, Wells Fargo. A technical issue was causing some Wells Fargo customers to see missing deposits in their accounts. The bank said on Friday. So missing deposits, that's how it starts, with glitches and all kinds of problems, and it works out in a pattern because the banking sector starts to crumble from in out through bad policies and bad regulations, right? So let's move on here. Barney Frank blames crypto panic for his bank's collapse. Elizabeth Warren blames Trump. Woo! So there it is. The rift between and okay, let's just former Representative Barney Frank and Senator Elizabeth Warren, two key architects of the post 2008 system of the Wall Street regulation, are at odds over what's dragging down banks once again. So they're basically, you see it right there. I love American politics. So let's move on. Feds racing to sell assets of nation's 16th largest bank fails. So what do these banks have as assets on their asset sheet, right? A lot of them just have leased office equipment and leased offices. They don't even own. Okay, if I was to, to repo a mining company, you might get something. You get equipment, you get drilling bits, you get all kinds of trucks, you get haulers, you get all kinds of stuff from a mining. You get land that they own with a mining company. But a bank, it's all leased office space, and I'm really sure that these guys didn't leverage their money properly and actually put their money in assets, where specific assets that they should have put in. I think this is all Mickey Mouse. I think these are all cardboard paper pretzels is what these banks are. And what is this? Why Bank of America shares are nosediving to a new 52-week low. Again, Bank of America, okay, they want me to pay for this so they could go to hell. U.S. regulators say SVB customers will be made whole as second bank fails. So there it is. That's the Biden administration. So the Build Back Better president that has actually destroyed the country. In an extraordinary action to restore confidence in America's banking system, the Biden administration on Sunday guaranteed customers of the failed Silicon Valley Bank will have access to their money starting Monday. And Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history. And Wall Street analysts make big calls on bank stocks in wave of SVB failure. Wall Street analysts are wasting no time trying to make some big calls on stocks that have been swept up into discussion of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank meltdowns, even if that means forgetting the stock picking lessons learned. Yeah, okay. Silicon Valley Bank's collapsed on Friday was the second largest bank failure in the U.S., while Signature Bank represented the third largest bank bust. Regulators stepped in late, so Signature Bank also right here. And regulators see Signature Bank in third largest U.S. bank failure. So there it is right there, going to $0. There it is right there. Oh, no, that's Silvergate capital crisis. That's another crisis that's going on. Regulatory seized New York regional bank Signature Bank SBNY. Let's see what their ticker is live here, guys. So it's sitting at, it's halted. It's halted. So it's halted. It's closed. It's halted. So it's not. So let's go back here and find out what the heck is going on. Regulatory seized New York regional bank Signature Bank 2 days after shutting down Silicon Bank. Okay, so it's gone. Overseers in the banking system try to restore calm before markets open Monday. Signature Bank becomes the third largest bank ever to fail in U.S. behind Silicon Valley Bank and Washington Mutual in 2008. If its assets have changed significantly since the end of 2022, Signature had $110 billion in assets as of December 31st, ranking the 29th among U.S. banks. It had $88 billion in deposits as of the date. So approximately 87.9% were not insured, by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. All of those deposit holders will get their money back, according to a joint statement in the Treasury Department Secretary Janet Yellen. So they're stating that they're going to give the money back, but these are still the build back, buy back, stronger people. Guys, don't forget to join us Wednesday nights on Rumble for Mike in the Night, and we do Saturdays Mike in the Night. If you guys would like to join us, I would love to see you guys there. There's the channel here on Rumble where we speak freely. Mike in the Night on Rumble on Wednesdays, and then on Odyssey on Saturday nights. So the viewership's going up here on Rumble. I really appreciate everybody going over there, liking and subscribing. So I wanted to put this out there. I wanted to make it as short as possible. I don't want to go over 20 minutes here. I kind of wanted to just get this out there and get the word out there so people could understand what is happening, how it's happening, and bank runs, bail-ins, all kinds of stuff. No confidence in governments. And you will see people removing their money and putting it under their pillow as they see fit. Thanks for joining me, being part of the channel, the voice of the Commonwealth, tomorrow's news today. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.